This time out on the podcast, I'm speaking to James J. Lewis. James initially started out in music with his band Cracatilla before joining the Lads when they briefly reformed in 2005. After this, James worked with John Power on his solo work, and since then he's been a touring and recording member of both Cast and The Zutons. We spoke about all this, plus James's solo work. James is currently on tour promoting his solo album Waiting for the World. We spoke about all this, plus at the end James picked his heroes. I hope you're all enjoying the podcast. Please keep liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing wherever you can, but more importantly, enjoy.
Our life untouched, so we both joke this will come if you stay.
On the podcast today, I've got James J. Lewis. He is a singer and guitarist. He's got a solo album, or two solo albums, I think you've got.
Yeah, two.
So there's one available on Spotify, Waiting for the World. And James has also been James has also been in various bands. He fronted his first band, Cracatilla. I think that's how we're pronouncing it.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
He's been in the Lads, he's been in Cast, he's worked with John Power with his solo stuff, and he's worked with the Zutons. So we're going to touch a bit on all of this, but what I like to do is rewind right back to the start. What was life like for you growing up as a wee nipper?
As a wee nipper? I suppose it was just like hanging around, wasn't it? Getting on the school roof, and like you do, playing footy, you're in the street and that kind of thing, you know. And early on, I was into like body popping, you know what I mean? Getting the lino out and all that, and listening to hip hop, big hip hop fan and all that, and yeah, just kicking about as you do, you know. When you, and then I suppose I got into music. My brother plays, my dad plays, always played classical guitar around the house, you know, just practicing. And he always said he always left the guitar lying around, hoping that we'd pick it up. He never like forced us on it, you know what I mean? Kind of like, he was just kind of like hoping that we'd pick it up, and we did, you know. And so I got into music. Then I always remember seeing my cousin come down, and he brought Monterey, Hendrix at Monterey video. And I remember seeing it, and it just blew my head off. It was like, who's this guy? Like, you know what I mean? I remember walking up the stairs feeling a bit sick or something. I don't know, feeling a bit weird about it. I was like, this is amazing. And then I kind of just got the music bug from there, I think, you know.
And once you got this kind of the music into you, was there any other like ambitions when you were young? Like, was there any kind of jobs you were going to get into, or was it always music once you kind of picked up the guitar?
Yeah, once I picked up the guitar, I was pulled towards it. It was a release, really. It was an escape, and it was a release. And I just found myself just playing it all the time, learning off videos, Led Zeppelin videos, and learning off records, putting the needle back, and, you know, listening to what you've done, going to the video to see what position his hand's in, and that's how I learned to kind of taught myself how to play, really. So that was from about what? I picked up the guitar first. I think there's a picture of me, my hair's like this, and the guitar's massive. And it must have been about nine or 10, you know. But I think I probably got into learning it like properly, maybe, I don't know, maybe playing Led Zeppelin stuff in senior school, 13, 14, 15 onwards, you know. And you don't stop learning. I'm still learning now, you know what I mean, with the people who I play with and stuff, you know.
That's it. I can't play the guitar worth a fuck. I've tried, right, and I can mind it. I went for lessons maybe about 10 years ago, and I went to this guy, and I've been going for about
3 or 4 weeks, and he was teaching me the first 30 seconds of a Libertines song, and I was struggling to do it right, and every week again there was a wee boy in before me, and he was about half my age, and he was playing Led Zeppelin, and he was playing it like fucking perfect, and I couldn't get the first 30 seconds of the Libertines, and I thought, no. I went for like 2 months or something, and I chucked it. I couldn't do it. I think sometimes it is a gift, and you do need to put the graft in.
Yeah.
I just didn't want it enough, so I started a podcast instead.
Yeah.
Obviously, you touched on Jimi Hendrix, and you've mentioned Led Zeppelin. So, what other influences, what other music were you into?
Pink Floyd. My dad's Hendrix collection and his Led Zeppelin collection is early Santana. He had the Deep Purple. Obviously the Beatles, the Stones, the Doors, Captain Beefheart, Nick Drake, Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Yeah, you can hear all that in this album.
Say again.
You can hear all these influences in the album.
Yeah.
You kind of wear your heart on your sleeve with that.
Yeah. But I liked kind of with the album. I kind of wanted to make an album that was kind of like just pretty much straightforward. No real kind of intricacies, if you like. I mean, there's mistakes on there. There's bits where the drums go a little bit out of time,
Yeah.
But I like all that. That's what I loved about all the records I grew up with. It's like the smell of them kind of thing. So there's like, it's really lo-fi. So that was always the record I always wanted to make, really, And now I can maybe like mature a bit, maybe go on to do some more writing, you know what I mean, and see what I come up with next, But that was it really is kind of like all my influences are kind of on that album if you care to listen,
Yeah. So going back into we've got Cracatilla. Apparently you didn't know the pronunciation of the volcano Krakatoa.
Yeah, that was it.
That's what it says in Wikipedia anyway.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's actually right. Like, it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? But it's right. Like, I was just walking out the living room and there was this program on the telly and he was saying, and this is the biggest volcano or whatever. And I thought, just as I was walking out into the kitchen, I thought it said Cracatilla, and I was like, Cracatilla, no, that has a ring to it to me. And it was only later on when we made to like kind of, what, the volcano? That's Cracatilla. What are you on about? So it was just like, you know what? We'll stay with Cracatilla.
Stay with that. It's a good name anyway. It's still a good name.
Yeah.
There can't be any bands with that name out there.
Yeah. But people used to call us the Cracks, for short. And some people have said, "What's your band? Caterpillar." No, Cracatilla. But yeah, names are always hard to come up with, aren't they? Because it's like you think this name is going to make what the band is, but really it's what the band does that makes the name in the end.
Yeah. I think it's probably even harder now. See, when you kind of look back to all the names that have came before, and like in the noughties you had every band was something. And it seems now it's just been so hard to come up with a name because everything seems to be taken.
Well, I think like a lot of bands use that like, opposites thing, like you got your Judas Priest and, kind of like Iron Maiden, Led Zeppelin, you know what I mean? Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this opposites kind of thing, that people... I think that's maybe where people start to get a name, but I don't know. But whatever rings to you, isn't it? I suppose that sounds good. Or let's just go with that,
Yeah, I manage a band. I just started managing a band last year, and they're called the High Flats. And it's they come for a scheme. where there's towers that dominate the area, so they're the high flats, but obviously the high flats, the kind of musical connotations of that as well. So I think
but
that kind of works.
it's also the opposite thing again, isn't it? It's like the flat, the land, and the high.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So you got the high flat. So again, it's like that's what I'm saying. It's like the opposite thing again. You know what I mean? If you care to read into it, like you know.
So obviously, so Cracatilla, what was the kind of what was the sound like in that band? Was that kind of again like the kind of psychedelic element, or was it more
Well, it was in
straightforward?
the band I was in before, which was with the same lads. We just changed the name basically. It was called Falstaff, and that was like really kind of Hendrix. Literally, that was just it. Cream, Hendrix. We wanted to kind of that was what we enjoyed playing. But I think when it got to Cracatilla, it got a little bit more melodic, if you like. Well, we just learned a bit more. They'd become a little bit more controlled, even though we wanted to still have that kind of psychedelic thing to it, but it just become a little bit more maybe song based within that kind of psychedelic thing. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, I don't know if we ever really captured it, but we were on the way to capturing it, like you know. But I think it was just kind of matured a little bit more, so it was kind of like, yeah, there was just more songs in there, or what we might have called songs at the time, and you know. But yeah, so that kind of moving a little bit away, I suppose, from the influences and trying to find our own sound, you know. Whereas the Falstaff, the band before Falstaff, was just like, we want to be Jimi Hendrix and Cream. You know what I mean? That was what we're into. Let's jam for 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Let's do a big Pink Floyd jam for half an hour. You know what I mean? So we just got a little bit more knowledge about music, I suppose, on the whole, and tried to maybe realize that you need to rein it in a little bit to give it some identity that people can see from a distance and recognize what it is, kind of thing, if you get what I mean.
Well, so like you had a couple of singles out around about that time, 2002 and 2003. So how did you fit in firstly maybe to the Liverpool scene and then kind of expanding out? Because obviously around about that time you had the Coral, you had the Zutons were kicking a bit. Liverpool had a big scene. You had
because they had the bandwagon night, didn't they? Which the lad out of the Bandits, you know, the Bandits.
Yeah.
Gary Murphy was in the Bandits, and they used to put a night
60s as well, didn't you? You had already
the dead 60s, yeah, and the Crane Builders and the Hulk and Clones. Danny Murphy had the Hulk and Clones and Robbie, and there was a scene and the Stands. And they all used to play. They built it up to like a real good vibe, you know what I mean? They built it up from nothing really, and obviously Tony at the Zanzibar was great in giving them the venue all the time, and he was a big music lover, you know. Tony, he supported all the bands, he ran the venue, and he was great. He's not with us anymore, sadly, but he was great. Like, he was really encouraging to all the bands. And but yeah, so that scene was going on, and we played the bandwagon, and then the record companies come in and done their harvest of all the bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And snapped up all of these bands, but we got our own little independent record deal. Like, we never really got snapped up by the big fellas. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we're good enough, don't know. You know what I mean? But we made our own little way, got our own little singles out, got What Do I Know out, which actually at the time was, we were still kind of crossing over from that Hendrix thing, and yet we had this single which was like acoustics and strings and all that, and it was great. And I kind of look back more fondly on it now than I did at the time, I suppose, because I was still kind of wanting to do more heavier kind of music, but as a song. And as a release, I think it was good, you know. And we got GQ magazine and things like that, and then it all kind of, I don't know, it all kind of not went downhill, but I don't know, I just got a little bit disillusioned with it, you know, what we were supposed to be doing, like, you know.
It
And,
must be hard as well when you're kind of when you're doing everything maybe independently and you're seeing, as you say, the big guys come in and take away like the choral and all them and give them like big massive record deals and stuff like that. It must be hard that you can understand the disillusion there.
Yeah, well, it wasn't so much with these bands are doing this and we're not. It was more of an internal thing, if I'm honest. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because these bands are great. You know what I mean? They deserve the success that they got then,
Yeah.
and that they're having now. You know what I mean? These are great musicians. Like, you know, they deserve that platform. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't anything against these bands, because I used to go and see them. You know what I mean? And support them. You know, and some of them would be mates. Do you know what I mean? It was more like an internal thing with either me or like the management and stuff. But, you know, just supposed kind of musical differences.
Yeah.
Yes, you should call it that, you know. But all the hearts were in the right place. They were all trying to do the right thing by us and all that. It just didn't work out. You know what I mean? We tried, but I knew I was always going to be in music anyway. I knew that, like, I could walk out of this, that, or whatever, and like I'm going to do music anyway, because it's the love that I have. You know what I mean? I'm always going to do it, like so. So I was never really banking on this happening or that happening. You know what I mean? You always want to get a little foot in the door somewhere, of course, but like I was never, we've got to get this record deal. You know, we're going to be massive. You know what I mean? It was never about that for me, really. It was just more about trying to write a better song, really. You know.
And then getting your foot in the door, so to speak, like 2005, the La's reformed.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? How come you ended up in the La's?
Well, Lee, where I grew up in Huyton, it's Lee lives just up the road, and I've known Lee for a long time before, and Cammy, you know, Cammy played guitar, and Neil, and I bought my first decent guitar off Cammy, actually, Gibson SG,
Right.
which. So I remember one day walking up to me mates up to Western Avenue, which was kind of, so I lived there, Lee lived there, and Western Avenue was there where my mates lived. Walking up with my guitar, and Lee had come out to his pack. I was like, "What have you got there?" I was like, "Oh, like, just bought this of Cammy." And so he gets it out, and he says, "Oh, this used to be mine, this." So he played Pinball Wizard
Right.
on it. And he said, "That's great." So I always seen Lee kind of, because I always walked past his every day to go to my mates and back, you know. So I eventually used to drop in and see him, have a cup of tea with him, and you know, I mean, I'm kind of like time traveling here, kind of thing. That happened when I was kind of like just left school.
Right.
You know, or I was just leaving school, but like years later, obviously I used to knock up at Lee's and have a cup of tea, and one day it was just in his, and I was like, "What are you doing, Lee? You know, what's happening?" And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want to do." You know, and so we started playing together, and then I think John's mum bumped into Lee's dad in the supermarket somewhere and said, "Oh, Lee's been looking to get in touch with you or whatever." And so then John turned up to the rehearsal room, and it was amazing. You know what I mean? It was quite electric in the room, actually, and then so we just started playing. So there's three of us. We played for a while. We tried some different drummers and stuff until we landed on the right person, whoever it was going to do it, and then we went out on the road. We went out to Ireland, I think, and done 3 shows, Cork, Dublin, somewhere else maybe, and come back. And then a couple of days later, we'd done Leadmill, and that was the first UK large show since we reformed. Like, and then it was like Glastonbury, Japan, Summer Sonic. Do you know that festival
in Japan?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of bands play it.
Yeah, and that was that was cool. I mean, for me, it was like, wow, You know what I mean? I was just like going to Japan. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Playing Glastonbury Festival, for me, it was just like, because I'd just kind of come from maybe a bit of a low, do you know what I mean? And getting out of what I was in. I was like, no, I'm just going to go and play with some other people, and I'm going to do this for a bit. And so I started playing with the lads, yeah. And so next minute I'm kind of in Japan and like V Festival and all that. And we've done a load of other festivals.
Yeah, I
And
see. Well, you done like Oxygen Festival
yeah,
in Ireland.
is that in Ireland, that one? Oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because there's like two, and then you don't see in the park or something, and then you
yeah,
do.
Oxygen. I think Oxygen and Tina Park were like kind of the same, like
Yeah,
run by the
feeling.
same folk or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, so how was that kind of? How was it for you? Like when John appeared, what was that like to kind of see John and Lee together again and kind of
Oh,
just stand there at the side, kind of watching that?
well, it was brilliant. It was like I said, it was electric when John turned up. I think I answered the door to him. Do you know what I mean? Come in, and kind of they hadn't seen each other for a while. Like, but that's all I could say. I remember it feeling quite electric in the room. You know, you could
Mm-hmm.
feel this vibe of like, God, this is exciting. Yeah, it was just exciting. You know, but once we started playing, it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Because obviously they're like, Lee's super talented, John's talented, and you know I'm there kind of playing with them, and they're buzzing off me too, though. Do you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know, like he can do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, so
So
that must have gave him a kind of a bit of enthusiasm as well, having some like younger blood in there.
yeah, yeah, maybe. I think it was. I mean, we rehearsed all the new songs and all that, and done little demos and things. Some of them I wasn't part of. Um, I've done recordings in the room and live recordings and like, and then Johnny, I think he was at Go Discs. He was looking after Lee at the
Hmm.
time, and then he put the gigs together, and then it was like we were going on the road, and it was like wow, but it was great. I mean, some of the playing and some of the jams that we had in that room were like, I mean, they weren't recorded. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, I've got them in my kind of mind. You know what I mean? Now you were brilliant, like you know.
And what
You
was
know,
was there any plan like was there any kind of talk about releasing anything else? Obviously, like Lee kind of has struggled with kind of perfection and stuff like that. So was there ever
well,
any talk of that?
Lee Lee does things in his own way. Do you know what I mean? And everybody should. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's just like from the outside, people like get a little bit like, oh, you know, he should have done this and he should be doing that and he should, you know. But Lee is not bothered about that. He just does what's like for him musically. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And like he's his own man. Do you know what I mean? And so it's just kind of like whatever you want to do, kind of thing. But I think the idea was to maybe get another album out. Um, but it was all kind of free flowing. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
never like, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this and do that. It was just like we're just happy to be here. You know what I mean? And knock around like a gang and play music. You know what I mean? It was that was more the thing. Even though there was this batch of songs, which was hoping they'd come out one day. You know what I mean? And hopefully they will. You know what I mean? But
Round about that time, was there no? I'm trying to think when it was, but NME were bigging it up. That he'd done a bit of work with Pete Doherty or something. I don't know how
yeah,
super was in that.
yeah. I think I can't remember if that was before I started playing or after. Can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's kind of it's vague with me as well, but I can mind it obviously being a Libertines fan, and
Yeah,
obviously if there was some sort of stuff went on, like nothing,
yeah,
I've never heard any of it.
yeah. But I think Drew from the Baby Shambles, is it?
Drew McConnell.
Yeah, he's a brilliant bass player actually.
Hmm.
I think he was doing some stuff with Lee as well, and like now and again you hear things. Oh, this is happening, and this is happening. But I just think like when it happens, and if it doesn't, it's probably because it's not meant to. But Lee's great, you know what I mean? He's the top songwriter, you know, and everyone knows that anyway. I don't need to say that, like, no.
Yeah.
But,
And obviously from that, it kind of built up a relationship with John Power, and he took you on board. You worked with him on some of his solo stuff.
yeah, once I think at the end of 2005, Lee just kind of closed it down, and kind of everyone just kind of went home. Do you know what I mean, kind of thing. And John was writing some of his. I think he'd done a solo album before that. I'm not sure, but he had some songs which he wanted to put down, and then he said, "Oh, come and do some gigs with us." And I was like, "Yeah, you know." So we done a couple of things on our own in London, a couple of little shows, which were all sold out. But they were, it was kind of really early days. We just found our feet as to what it was going to be, you know. And then we got Steve Pilgrim, who plays with Paul Weller, on the drums, and he's a great drummer, Steve. You know, a great musician, and actually a great singer-songwriter. You should get him on, actually.
I think I've tried. I think I've tried a lot of Paul Weller's crew, but
but Steve's great, and he's a lovely lad. And so we went out as this three-piece, and we went into the studio and recorded an album, Stormbreaker, and then we went out on the road just as a three-piece where I was playing bass, and then I'd jump on slide guitar, John would be just on acoustic, and Steve Pilgrim was on the drums, and we'd all sing. And I think we'd done that for a couple of years. Like we went all over the country, you know, down south, up to Inverness, everywhere, you know, in the car, you know. And then I think it got to 2010, and John got Cast back together, and I think it was 2010 or 2011, and yeah, and then that's when I went off and recorded Back to the Fountain.
That's your first album, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the first album, which was more of an acoustic album, an acoustic odyssey.
And where can you get that? Because obviously that's not on any streaming platforms. Can you get that on your Bandcamp?
No, I will be putting it on Bandcamp. I'll probably be putting it on Spotify as well. I'm going to try and get it out there because it's sitting under my bed at the moment. Yeah, I'll just try and get it. I'm going to take it on the road with me as well for this tour.
Well, I maybe see you up in Glasgow, so I maybe buy a copy there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, but that's more of an acoustic thing. It's almost like Get Back to the Fountain isn't like an acoustic album, and Wait for the World is a kind of indie lo-fi bluesy garage blues rock album, I suppose. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of variety in there, I suppose. What was I going to say? Yeah, so then John got that back together, and I went and done that album, and then I got a call off John saying he was doing this gig, and with the band, but the bass player couldn't make it for whatever would I stand in. So that was the very first gig I done with Cast, and that was at Hyde Park for the Olympics.
Right.
So it was massive, you know. It was massive. So we had like a few rehearsals, and that's when I met Skin for the first time, and love Skin. And I met Keith for the first time. Keith actually flew in about 5 minutes before we went on stage, changed his kecks, and we went straight on stage to it was like 30,000 people, and it was like, wow. And then when I looked back at the footage of the gig from the audience, you know, someone had filmed it. It was like Pink Floyd, you know what I mean? All these lights going in there. It was pretty impressive. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wow. So I'd done that gig, and then I hadn't seen them for a while until John called me in 2014, and then that's when I started playing with the band. I was kind of just sitting in for Pete because he couldn't make it, you know.
I mean,
And then
looking at you now, you fit in so well.
yeah. I love playing with the band. You know, it's so enjoyable. It's like going on holiday. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's not like going to work. Do you know what I mean? I'm really lucky. You know, um, but everyone has a laugh. They know how to enjoy themselves. You know, not let anything get in the way of what we're there to do, which is have a good show. You know what I mean? And
And
that's you know, I learned a lot from all of these guys. You know.
so on the kicking up the is it kicking up the dust? No, what album did you start working on? Kicking up the
Which
dust.
Oh, that would have been when was that? Was that 15 or
Or was it
17?
Troubled Times? Is that the
Oh
first
no,
album?
I wasn't part of Troubled Times. So I think I'd just come on board after Troubled Times, I think. Because we
Right.
were playing some Troubled Times songs in the set when I um, started first
Hmm.
started. So I think it was just after that, and then we went into the studio on Lark Lane in Liverpool, which is, do you know Liverpool?
No, I
I
don't.
thought,
I've never been, but I feel as if I
oh,
do because I've got all these Liverpool folk on my podcast.
yeah. But we went in there and recorded Trouble Times, but recording it was kind of maybe a different thing for them. And it was just kind of wrote in the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So John had some ideas on his phone and he was like, all right, let's try this one. And so it was kind of like all done in the studio, you know, and then Skin come in later and put his thing on. And, you know, so it was kind of like built up from nothing really in the studio, which was, you know, it's quite impressive, really. You know what I mean?
And
But yeah,
then, so obviously you got all the stuff with Caskin on, and
yeah,
then the Zutons appear as well. They wanted your help. They were doing the reunion tour. Is that right?
yeah,
2019.
yeah. I bumped into Dave in a bar, and it was just before Christmas, and I'd heard that the Zootons were getting back together, and I just said, "Oh, good luck," you know. They're getting back together. Good luck, and I was sent him a text a couple of days later saying, "Nice to see you," because I'd always seen Dave. Me and Dave go way back, you know,
Hmm.
um, to like Rugby College and music college, and I just said, "Oh, you know, nice to hear the band's getting back together. You know what I mean? It's about time. It'd be great. You know, good luck and everything." And sent him a text, and then a couple of days later, he gave us a call, and he basically like said, will you help us out on the bass?" Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then so yeah, I've done that tour, and then yeah, and then I was just kind of doing the both things. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I seen Cast last year, and you weren't there. I think you were away with the Zootons at that point. So, how hard is it then, kind of juggling the two?
yeah, it's kind of like it's a time management thing, and um, if it's kind of like it can get to the point where it's like if someone's put some dates in, it's like, all right, I can do that. As soon as I've give me word, I don't want to be going back on it.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? But then this might come up, and it's kind of like, and you can't be in two places at once, can you? You know what I mean? So, I mean, as much as I'd love to be able to do that, but so sometimes it kind of like, so Martin would step in on the bass.
Hmm.
You know Martin Campbell?
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin does his own stuff as well. Should
Hmm.
maybe get him on too. It's great, Martin. Um, but we've had different drummers, and you know, like someone step in on the drums, and then at one stage, I moved on to guitar, so I was like standing in Skins boots for a little while. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Which is immense thing. You know what I mean? But
They must be hard shoes to fill. I mean, that guy
yeah,
has got
yeah. Well, I
tremendous
mean,
stage presence.
I don't even know if I filled them, but my idea was I'll try and just get it in the ballpark. You know what I mean? That is passable, and they were happy. You know what I mean? And like Skin showed me. Then we got like a pedal board which I could kind of try and emulate to a point what Skin was doing, and Skin helped me out with that. You know what I mean? So he was helping me with that, and but so I'd be on guitar, Martin would be on bass, you know, and like now and again we'd have a different drummer because everyone was kind of everywhere or kind of traveling or whatever, because Keith tour managers as well, but he was at that time. So it's kind of like it's always kind of been a kind of like jumping onto other things, you know what I mean, which is quite cool, really.
And with this juggling the two bands as well, they both released albums last year. Obviously the Cast released "Love Is a Call" early 2024, and then later on that year, I think it was about April time, the Zutons released the Big Decider.
Yeah.
What sort of part did you play in either of those records? I'm not sure if you were on.
No, I'm not.
Were you on Love Is a Call?
No, I'm not on Love Is the Call. John wanted to play. John, because John was originally a bass player. You got to remember.
That's right. Now that I've had. No, remembering back, he kind of done
John
parts,
was originally a bass player, and he was kind of coming full circle in his kind of the way he was thinking. He was like, he wanted to play the bass, and so it's like that's fine. Do you know what I mean? I think he should if you want to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's a creative decision. You know what I mean? It's a creative move, to do that, and that's what they should have done. So I'm not part of that album. I still play live, but I wasn't part of that album. And I was working on the Zutons' Big Decider, doing guitar, because I was playing. When I started with the Zutons, I was playing bass, and then I moved on to guitar, lead guitar. So I was providing some guitar stuff for that. So I'm on that album, and then it was kind of like, well, the Zutons are going out on tour. And so I was doing that, and part of that I played on the album. So I was doing that, and then Cast went out, but Martin jumped on, so it's all it's all cool.
Yeah,
we're cool with all the bands. Do you know what I mean? We're all cool, like.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the thing. Like,
I think people at the time kind of read into it and were like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Kind of thing, like kind of reading into it. Like it was just like it was the way that it's always been. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, I never thought that. I just kind of thought you were in high demand and that everybody wanted to work with you. That's the way I would have looked at it.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the way it is. You know what I mean? Well, you can, like I said, you can only be in one place at one time. You can't like when a date comes up there and then a date comes up there. You can't unless you can get from there in the morning to there in the evening. Which I am willing to do, but sometimes you just can't. It just doesn't happen. You can't do it to what you've committed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
because again, you don't want to commit to someone and then say,
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the Zutons, obviously, they've always been there. They've always been kind of that band, and I've always liked them, but I've never been to see them live.
All right.
So I seen them in December, supporting Paul Heaton at the Hydro.
Oh yeah.
And first time I seen these live, it was absolutely phenomenal.
All right, thanks.
And I think Dave mentioned that you were playing the Barrowlands this April, and
yeah.
I'd bought tickets for the Barrowlands before you'd finished your set at the Hydro. Absolutely class. And you forget the amount of hits that they've had. All the songs,
yeah,
and like the new album kind of fits in well with the older stuff. So
yeah.
With kind of with the Cast album coming, then the Zutons, and then these tours, you've had this solo album for 2022, and this is
you. 20, I thought you were going to say 20 years then.
Yeah, well, it might seem like that, But obviously, you've had this solo album kicking about for 2022,
Yeah,
and you're taking it on tour later this month, I think you start, didn't you? So
yeah.
is that like the first kind of chance you've had to kind of like fit it into the schedule to take it out?
It actually is. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I mean that
Last
must be a struggle.
Yeah, last year was so busy going from this to that to this to that, and then like trying to get like a holiday in between as well, trying to get
Mhm.
a bit of a rest. And I'm not complaining about I'm not complaining about my life. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. I'm so lucky to have the life that I've got. I'm not complaining. You know what I mean? But trying to get from one thing to another, and at the end, it's all the traveling really you get tired from. It's not the
Yeah,
playing. The playing is what energizes you. It's the traveling. It's just the sitting on the motorway in traffic. You know what I mean? Which
yeah,
which
yeah,
can which can get tiring. Do you know what I mean? And eventually it's accumulative. It kind of you get to the point where it's like, oh, you know what? I just need a little rest here. Try and get a little holiday here or something. Go away for a couple of days. But like I said, I'm not complaining. I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I mean? It's it's
Mhm.
it's it's amazing. But yeah, sorry, what was your question again? Sorry.
So just kind of touching on this tour coming up then to kind of promote the album.
Oh yeah,
Um, so it start. I think does it start the 30th, which is Thursday, or have you put
it's this
other dates
Thursday,
in?
this Thursday in Oxford, and then Leamington Spa, and then I go down to Camberley, and then um, I,
I've got a list here,
I've got a list there. Okay, yeah, you know more than me.
I had a list. Yeah, that's it. So Oxford, Leamington Spa, Camberley, Huddersfield, um, Barnoldswick. I don't have a clue where that is.
Barnsley,
Sheffield,
I think it's up. I think it's by Blackburn somewhere.
right? It sounds that kind of thing. Then you get Sheffield, North Shields, Eccles Hall, and then you play Liverpool ABC.
No,
So
that's ARC.
or AFC, sorry.
So, so it's like, so it's like acoustic rooms, coffee. That's
Right.
it's like a little venue. Just you said you don't know Liverpool, so it's like there's a venue called Camp and Furnace, which a lot of people play. You might have heard. It's kind of on the circuit kind of thing.
Mhm.
But just at the back of it, there's just like a little venue there, and my mate owns it actually. And I'm playing there, so that's going to be like a little band setup. Most of the gigs I'm doing by myself. I think there's about 4 or 5 that I'm doing with a little band as well.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm doing Liverpool, and then it's Glasgow. Then I think the day
Yeah.
after Liverpool.
So what's
Yeah,
happening with Glasgow? Have you get the band or is it just you for that?
just me for that. It's just me for that. But I'll try and make it worth everyone's while. you know.
And
But
what's
I'm not
happening
playing
with
by myself. I've got a couple of different textures that I'm touching on with the solo thing. You know what I mean? It's good, like, and some improvisation or whatever. A little bit of this. And that. It's good. You know,
Mhm.
it's a good. It'll be. Well, I hope it'll be good.
The Hug and Pints a cracking wee venue as well. We played in it last year.
Right?
So I you'll like it in there. It's a nice venue.
Yeah, yeah,
A nice bit of Glasgow.
yeah, yeah. I've been a player. I mean, I love going up to Scotland and playing. Like, I remember playing what was the venue? I can't remember, but it was a boozer. But it was me and John played it, and it's like one of the best gigs I've ever done because it
Hmm.
was just. I think it was like supposed to be like 300 capacity, but they had 700 people in there. You know what I mean? It was like one of them. It was just you couldn't move in there. You literally couldn't move in there, and everyone was just singing. It was like me and John were saying the only thing that didn't happen was that they didn't pick us up on these. Didn't pick us up and carry us out. You know what I mean? Like on these chairs, on these golden thrones, because they were just like it was like there's pictures of it, and it's like we were a boy band or something. It was just everyone's just like going like that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. was a really amazing show, like just unbelievable. I mean, sometimes we couldn't start the songs because the audience were just so, raucous, and we had to wait for them to finish, before we could start. It was incredible. I love going up to Glasgow
Yeah.
or Scotland.
I think with
Best place
that,
to play.
I think with
What's
John,
that?
see we cast. I think for the Britpop days, people kind of see it as maybe like a triangle, like Oasis, Ocean Colour Scene, Cast, and like the three of
Yeah,
them are just fucking held in such high regard.
yeah,
I don't know if John realises just how kind of what sort of hero status he's got up here, but he's loved to bits.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm looking forward to going up there. I'm looking forward to playing. And I'm looking forward to people maybe getting to know my songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean, and seeing how they go down. Seeing how it comes across. So I mean, it's a bit scary, but it's exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'll
well,
be good.
I'm
Like,
looking forward to it anyway. I'm pretty sure it's a weekend you've played Glasgow anyway, so I'm looking forward to.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it might be the Saturday, the
yeah.
first. I think it is. It's the first.
First
So
of March,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
And what have you got coming up after that? Take it you're on tour with the Zutons for this tour.
yeah. I've got the April tour with the Zutons, and then I'm doing the summer cast gigs. Um, doing some I'll be doing the festivals, and doing the Oasis thing.
I just blasé, just like that.
Well,
I'll just be hanging about the Leaving No for a bit.
yeah, I mean it's pretty incredible. Like,
I should maybe wait it and got you on after the summer, and maybe you had some stories to tell about the tour.
uh,
How much are you looking forward to that?
yeah, I mean we played, we supported Liam um, in Manchester. Well, I played with Cast when we supported Liam in
Mm-hmm.
Manchester Co-op Live, and they're
On that
massive.
last tour there?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they're massive. I've done a couple of gigs on it. Martin done most of the other ones, but I played for the Manchester 2 nights at Manchester, and insane, insane. I mean, I just can't. I mean, that was like one of the biggest shows. Though I know said it on Hyde Park. That was mega. But that I think it's 22 or 3,000 people in the Co-op Live,
Uh-huh.
and it was a quite surreal moment actually when I was watching Liam and he come off stage and he come over and give me a hug. He said, "All right, Jay," and I was like, all right, And we had a little chat in the encore, and the drums had started in the background. And he went, "Right, take care of yourself," and he just walked straight up on stage and went into a supersonic, and the whole place just went mad. The roof went off the place. It was quite a surreal moment, like, because I hadn't seen Liam since 2005. Actually, he come to a Lars gig in Tokyo. Well,
Right.
the band, I think Oasis were over there touring, or
Yeah, they'd probably be
yeah,
playing that
because
festival as well, would they not?
I think they headlined maybe the Summer Sonic Festival that
Yeah.
we were both doing. And they'd come to a Lars gig as well. So first time I met Liam, he got me in a headlock. Like, so I was surprised he remembered me, for him to come over and say, "All right, yeah, it was really nice." Do you know what I mean? And then, it's
Yeah.
nice.
But this is the thing. I think Liam gets a lot of bad press, but I've never heard a bad story about him. It's only what you read in the papers. But who reads
Yeah.
papers anymore?
No, well, all the times I've met him, he's been a gent, absolute gent. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Every day
Like,
I've ever had in the podcast that's had anything to do with him is spoke really highly of him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the press, I don't know, they get on that, wild man thing, don't they? And they push that like and
Yeah.
everyone thinks that's what he's like. I mean, I don't, if you give him shit, he's going to give you shit. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? You know,
Yeah,
But
but that's no. I
but
think that's
that,
just a northern thing anyway, isn't it? I think we're all
yeah,
like that.
he's just he's actually a sweet guy, like, and a real gent. You know what I mean? Every time I've met him, like, he's
Yeah.
been there, and no, you know what I mean? They both sound like, you know.
So all that
But yeah,
coming up.
I
Any
was going to
plans?
say, so doing the co-op
Hmm.
to like 23,000 people or whatever, doing massive, you know what I mean? So I just can't imagine what it must be like going on, walking on at Wembley and there being 90, 100,000 people there. I mean, that's just like, it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I had a wee band on Pastel, wee Manchester slash Wales band. I had them on a couple of episodes ago, and they opened for Liam at Nebworth. Like just young boys playing like one of their first gigs, and they're playing in front of 80,000 people at Nebworth, and
Yeah,
they strolled it. So
yeah,
a seasoned
yeah,
musician like yourself should cope with
yeah.
it fine.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. I mean, I think, like, in a funny way, it's harder to play smaller venues than it is the bigger ones. When
Mm,
you play the bigger ones, it's kind of a lot of distance between you and the audience, and it just becomes like a wall, you know. So it's just like you playing, and then there's just this wall of people, but you don't really actually hone in on anyone in particular. But in the smaller venues, when you've got people right there,
yeah,
you know, watching your fingers and look what and like not scrutinizing, but kind of like they're right there in front of you. And like that to me is more daunting than going onto the massive stage. If you know what I
hmm,
mean, that makes
I
sense.
get that. I've seen
You
a
know,
guy at St Luke's in Glasgow last year, a solo artist, Hamish Hawk, and he had the most intense eyes. Like, see, when he was performing, I
yeah,
felt as if he kept looking at me, but I don't think he just, his eyes seemed to be everywhere. And it freaked me out because I thought I can't keep looking at him but then I thought this is what we're meant to be here watching him.
yeah,
But it was really, really intense. It's the first time I'd noticed something like that before.
yeah. That's what it is. It's the intensity of doing them smaller shows. I mean, the shows that I'm about to do are probably, you know, they're going to be kind of really intense. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Well,
like
like that hugging pint, the crowd are. I know the hugging pint. The crowd are right there at the. It's the crowd and then the stage. There's no barrier or anything.
yeah. I mean, that's if there's anyone there.
Well, I'll be there anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
well, yeah, we'll carry on our chat there.
um, so that's about us. I was saying, unless there's any plans, are you going to be writing any other material yourself? As you get any
Yeah,
plans for that?
I've got this little break now. Kind of, I'm working on demos now for another album that I want to put out. I mean, I've always got loads of songs knocking around. It's just having the time to kind of like just sit about with them, you know what I mean, and work
Mhm.
on them. When you're on the road, it's when you get back, it's kind of like you need a bit of space, and it's not always easy to just put your mind straight into back into where I was. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's kind of like, right, where was I up to? I need a few days to get to that point. But by that time, it's like, right, gotta go. You know what I mean? So it's just like, um, yeah, I've got a little bit of time over the next couple of months to get me demos together for a new record. And I know I've got to fit it into this time, you know. So yeah, so I'll be working on another record. I don't know what it's going to be like. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've just got songs, and they'll all come together. The more that you work on them, the further away you can see them from.
Uh-huh.
So you can see where that one goes with. Okay, oh, they kind of they make sense together. Like the Waiting for the World album, they were all kind of done in it at a similar time. So it was like that's like a batch of songs. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
they were all kind of from the same moment, if you like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a cracking album. I listened to it. I listened to it 3 or 4 times just the other day. I've been listening to it the last couple of weeks at my work. When I'm meant to be doing my work, I've been listening to your album. But yesterday I had it on kind of repeat, just on loop, and it's brilliant. It does when the Jimi Hendrix stuff, you can hear it right away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I took kind of look. I thought if I put the right album on, but I
Yeah, I play drums on that as well. When I'm playing everything on it. I play everything on it. It's kind of like I'd go in and I recorded it with a dear friend of mine, Steve Powell, who um, he actually recorded. He used to record like demos for like the Coddle and the Zutons and all that back in the day, and he's had studios and done his own stuff. He's doing his own stuff now, I think, with a singer called Alex, called The Wood. And they're good.
Mhm.
But I recorded it with him, just like tracked it. Went in, put the drums down first while singing the song in my head, and then layered everything on top. Then, but it was kind of like I'd done it in 9 days, the whole thing, and then I brought it back. I've got a studio in the room next door, and I just put some like finishing kind of touches on it. You know what I mean? But I always wanted it to stay lo-fi, not polished. Keep it like a few of the songs I just recorded first time, like
Right.
Bogeyman. That's first time. Played the guitar once, played done the harmonica once, and it's all just, and the bass is just done it once. So it's just like first time, and like that's it. You know what I mean, kind of
Brilliant.
thing. I think Surfing Mississippi, the first track, is that as well. So there's a couple on there which are just like I'm just going to record this and just that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? But I like that commitment to it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Some of it kind of it's organic in the way that some of it maybe slows down a little bit. There's no click tracks on there. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's yeah, but I'm really proud of it. You know what I mean? I'm really proud of it.
Brilliant. It's a cracking album. I'll put a link up for the album for people to go and stream it or buy it or whatever. I'll put a link up for your tour dates as well.
Yeah.
But I obviously the last bit of the podcast, it's called Time for Heroes. I asked my guests to pick
Oh yeah.
those 4 heroes to come for dinner. Why they're your heroes and what would you cook for them?
Well, I'm not a great cook, so it'll probably be pot noodles all round.
Right, that's fine. That's sorted.
Pot noodles all round, and it's probably like Bob Dylan, Marley, uh, Ali,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Bruce Lee. Actually,
That's a
Bruce,
fun. So
Bruce, Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, and I'll sneak Hendrix in. You know,
all classics. The-
yeah, yeah, kind of but I was thinking if it was they were coming round so I could pick their brains and like if it wasn't just like oh you're my hero, I'd like to hear what uh, who's the guy Charles Manson. I
right.
think he's yeah. I think I'd like to get this what really went down with him. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
I can understand all of these picks. I can understand Charles Manson, because it'd be fascinating to.
Yeah, and I'd like Bob Dylan to grill Charles Manson and see what he had to say. Do you know what I
I'm
mean?
I've been looking for this Bob Dylan films. Obviously, it's at the cinema now. So every day I'm on my Fire Stick waiting for it to come on the Fire Stick. Like every, I've checked it 3 times this morning already, but it's not there. Like I'm
Yeah,
desperate to
right.
see this film.
Yeah.
Um,
Who would you have?
oh Christ, man, that's putting me in the spot. I don't know. I would have John Lennon would definitely be one.
Yeah,
Probably Liam Gallagher. Um, Probably a footballer, maybe Jimmy Johnson,
yeah,
an old footballer,
yeah,
and I don't know, maybe like
Oh,
Maradona.
yeah, I was going to say, Diego Maradona. Yeah, yeah,
Like
that
Maradona
was,
for what he done to England alone. That
yeah,
God,
yeah,
aye.
yeah. But I think Maradona, he kind of in a way went up against the establishment. Do you know what I mean? When you listen to his story, like in there, he's really quite powerful as a voice, wasn't he? And it was almost like, because he says, "Don't need to cut me legs off." When you let him go in the World Cup '94, and then they said, "Oh, he was on this drug or whatever." It's kind of you tend to think, "Oh, what was going on behind the scenes there? Like, was he just going up against the establishment, and they let him go up on the world stage to bring it to pull him down?" Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I don't know the truth, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. But yeah, yeah.
But
So
but like all the ones
Diego
that you
Maradona, Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, and Muhammad Ali.
yeah, and you had Bruce Lee as well.
Yeah, Bruce Lee. I just
You
think
see
he's
the
a
Bruce Lee thing? I just wanted to quiz you on that. What is it about Bruce Lee? Just because one of my previous guests picked Bruce Lee as well, so I want to see if
yeah.
you.
I think he's just dedicated, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Or he was dedicated to his philosophy
Mhm.
on things. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just that, which is quite inspirational. That he's kind of like, because he got he didn't really like what he done with putting them styles together and all that. But he's kind of like, whatever works, works, and that's the philosophy. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whatever works in the moment, you've got to do. And he took all of them things and put them together. All the best things from all the different
Martial
disciplines,
arts.
if you like,
Yeah.
and put them together. And he was committed to it. Like, you know what I mean? And I suppose it's just like the discipline of the martial arts. I suppose. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a good thing for anyone to go down that road. You know what I mean? To discipline your mind is
Mhm.
something. To discipline your body and your mind,
It seems to
is
be a
the
northern
utmost
thing as
thing, isn't
well.
it?
Again, like so, obviously Ian Brown's big into Bruce Lee, and
Oh yeah,
and this
yeah,
this band that I had on that the same band that I was talking about earlier, Pastel. It was the wee boy for Pastel that picked Bruce Lee.
yeah,
So at Manchester, Liverpool area must be like
yeah,
big into him.
yeah. And he just seems like a cool guy, doesn't he? To
Yeah,
me, anyway. He just seems like you could sit with him and he'd just be honest, and I reckon he'd just be fascinating to talk to, like about whatever. Not
I'm
just
just
whatever,
wondering I'm just
whatever.
wondering how Bruce Lee would do with a pot noodle.
With what?
With a pot noodle, I'm just wondering how he would.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, actually, he can cook. We'll get him to cook. We'll get him to cook. I bet he can make good, healthy, some good, healthy stuff. Yeah. So is that us? Is it?
That's us, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, man. It's been brilliant. Um, Having a chat. Looking forward to the up and coming tour. I'll get to see you at Hug and Pint, and then I'll probably see you again at the Barrowlands for the Zutons. So,
Yeah, yeah. That'd be
um,
cool.
but aye, for today, for coming on, it's been brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks. It's my first podcast. I hope it was all right for
Well,
whatever.
the first of many, mate. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.